Now in the manga, the two groups are initially wary of each other, but they learn that they do need to work together to save the world, and they, at least try to mesh ideologies. And they're still kind of on edge by the time the end of the Infinity Arc rolls around, but they do promise to remain friends as the Outers go and leave to raise baby Hotaru. And after a brief 6-month interlude, and they do mention that, the Outers turn to help fight the Dead Moon Circus, and the two groups are inseparable ever after. Haruka and Michiru attend high school with Usagi and Makoto and Minako, and Amy, Ray, goes to a different high school, and then Setsuna is the school nurse at the school that Hotaru and Chibiusa attend, at least until Chibiusa leaves. The Outers function as an older sister role to the inner senshi, going from giving advice, to teasing, to fighting with, to just, I wanna hug you all so much, you're so good friends, ah! And here's the other fascinating part. Most of the inner senshi idolize at least one of the outer senshi throughout the dream arc, and wishes that that person was there to, help them fight the enemy. Thinking about how they would react to a situation helps each of the girls grow and realize their new powers and, transform again. Ray admires Michiru, and they both have, pretty extreme psychic powers as well as nerves of steel, and they're both gorgeous. Come on, we're just gonna throw that one out there. And this one I find hilarious because they totally wrecked it in the anime, and I think this is Naoko's little jab back at Toei for messing it up, but Makoto idolizes Haruka. She's practically worshipful when she talks about how strong she is and how she wishes she could be as strong as Haruka was. She also idolizes Michiru because Michiru is kind of the epitome of femininity, and that's also what Makoto wants to be. And Amy idolizes Setsuna, who told her that she needed to be more self-confident and realized that her friends really did rely on her for her good judgment and her, intelligence. She's the brains of the operation, and she needs to, own that. And because I know I'm gonna get a million questions about this one, the only one who doesn't idolize them is Minako. Once the others reveal that after they were thinking about how they wished they had the strength or the intelligence or whatever of the outer senshi, and they were able to focus on that and power up to their next level, Minako became very angry and jealous because she can't transform anymore for the moment, and also because she's the leader and she feels like, if you guys are gonna look up to anybody, you're gonna look up to me, right? No? Okay, I'm gonna be mad at you and just storm off now. And this is actually so Minako, it's hilarious. She doesn't think that they believe in her as leader anymore, so she goes off on this totally reckless mission all by herself, and she almost loses Artemis in the process. And through her bond with her familiar, or her advisor, whoever you want to interpret Artemis as, besides her pet, she realizes that their bond is actually the strongest of all, and she is able to transform through Artemis's belief in her, and their bond strengthens and blah 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 blah. It's all happy and sappy, and Artemis also gets his human form in this one because of that. Chibiusa also has a very interesting relationship with the outer senshi in both the anime and the manga. While she does have a good relationship with the inner senshi, they are always more geared towards Usagi. That's her group, and Chibiusa is just, kind of there as the little sister who sometimes they find annoying. But the outer senshi realize that despite the fact that she has this family unit around her, Chibiusa is still a very lonely little girl, and she needs to have more friends her own age, but she is not very good at making friends, so they step in as her older sister figures. Haruka and Michiru give her advice all throughout the Infinity Arc, and even in one short story about Tanabata, Chibiusa calls them Haruka Oni-chan and Michiru Oni-chan, which translates to Haruka Big Sister and Michiru Big Sister. And when I saw that new translation, I almost passed out from how adorable it was, because Chibiusa's bond with Setsuna is also established in the second season, and it continues on throughout the rest of their acquaintance. Michiru also gives Chibiusa her mirror at the end of the Infinity Arc, and that's later used as kind of the deus ex machina to call the outer senshi back to rescue them when the Dead Moon Circus is kind of, everything's going to hell. And then when Hotaru finally catches up, and she's only a year or two older than Chibiusa, she finally has a friend her own age in their group. Now Mamoru in both adaptations really, he's there more in the manga than he does in the anime, but I think it's just really a tragedy that he's never completely involved like he could be. You'd think that Usagi would recognize that as he is an orphan and he doesn't really have any family, that since there is already this pre-established family group, that he should just be brung on in. Again, this is more in the anime than in the manga. In the manga, like I said before, he is more included in the senshi meetings and kind of one of their go-to guys, and yeah, you're one of us, you're in this to win this, there's no getting out of it. Especially since you consider the fact that they're all going to be ruling a planet for centuries, and they should all kind of get to know each other better. What we do know is that Ray and Mamoru do have an established friendship. He's the one who calls her when there's problems in his relationship, and she kind of just pats him on the head and says it's gonna be okay. She also at one point in the anime offers him a quiet place to study in the shrine. Now the others, we do have to rely a lot on some headcanon. You would think that Amy and Mamoru would have a lot in common since they both want to be doctors and they're both very studious and introverted, so if there was chaos going on, as there tends to be when you get most of these girls in the same room together, that Mamoru and Amy would just kind of go off on their own and be like, so what book are you reading lately? Oh, I'm starting to read blah blah blah. Oh really, have you read this one? You would also think that Mamoru would click well with Makoto, considering that they're both orphans and they both do like to cook and they're both very fond of plants. And I actually don't know what Mamoru and Minako would be like together. I mean, I did think about this for a while and I just really, there's not too much just them interaction. Now Mamoru's relationship with the Outers is fairly cool and distant. They respect each other and that's kind of about as close together as we get, except for Setsuna, who does have established feelings for Endymion, so how that translates to both her present day and his present day counterparts, I would like to see that explored a little bit more. And now we're going to finish with Usagi. Usagi, who loves everybody. She wants her friends to all have happily ever after. She does her best to keep the group together and like everybody group hugs all the time. I mean, her wedding theme was wedding dresses, which basically means they all got married together. It is a giant polyromantic relationship of love and friendship. I mean, if you want to know more about how Usagi's friendships work with the Inner Senshi, go watch the R movie because it's all about how she just kind of rescued them from their loneliness and gave them a place of acceptance and togetherness and all kinds of happy, sappy things like that. I would show a clip right now, but that's a really, really long clip and I can't. But with the Outer Senshi, that one's a little bit more fun because Usagi is Haruka's favorite and she will fight you on that. Like, Haruka has all kinds of pet names for Usagi, like Dumpling, which everybody calls her, but she also calls her Kitten, and it's like, oh, you're just, I kind of ship you guys, except you're both totally in love with your respective partners, and I respect that. And Haruka also loves to tease and flirt with her. Usagi tends to admire Michiru for her beauty and her talent, and Michiru responds in kind as just being an affectionate older sister figure to her. And Setsuna treats Usagi as she would a princess, which is what Usagi technically is, so Usagi tends to react with a little hesitancy towards Setsuna, because really the only time Setsuna comes around is when shit's getting bad and she's gotta, you know, tell them how bad it's going to be. As for Hotaru, Usagi only has pure affection because she is sympathetic to the little girl's situation. Hotaru, in turn, she treats her pretty respectfully the first time around because she doesn't really know her that well. She has more friends than Chibiusa, and the second time around, she's like the picture-perfect decorum, like this, I'm treating you are my princess, you are my queen, I am going to only respect you as such. She speaks like really formally towards Usagi, which gives her the air of being much older than she actually is, which is kind of true. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this one was really long. Thank you for sticking through all the way at the end. I don't know what next week is going to be. Please remember to check out my Twitter or my Tumblr if you have any questions to ask that you haven't, you know, signed up your Google Plus account, whatever. The comment section might not work for me answering your questions, so yes, Twitter and Tumblr. I will see you guys next week with a surprise topic. Okay, see you next time. Bye.